In this video, we'll be discussing service households in Amtgard. You'll learn what they are and some of the best practices when creating them, from your mission statement, structure, activities, and finally, your household's growth. Houses in Amtgard can take many different forms and serve several different purposes. A house could be created for something as simple as the promotion of a healthy diet and exercise. One could be created for the dedication of service in the game. In this video, I will specifically be talking about service households, although many of the principles could apply to any type of house or even fighting companies. I'll be discussing the various forms a service household could take, what they could focus on, how they can function, and how they could be organized. There really is no limit for why a house could be created. The only limitation could be for fighting. In Amtgard, traditionally, that's the job of a fighting company. Still, you could, for example, have a house dedicated to the teaching of fighting. The sky's the limit. House gravy is going to be the usual example I'll be using for this video. It's the household I built, and I learned a lot from running it. House Gravy is located in the northwest Amtgard and started in 2001 as a house dedicated to feasts. It had no structure and only 3 members. In 2015, we decided to revamp the house. We changed the focus to all services and added a teaching element. We also created a system to incorporate new members and open the household to taking on new initiates. When we talk about the various elements of service households, I'll go into more detail about House Gravy. If you'd like additional details about House Gravy, I wrote a blog talking about its history, initiation practices, and its future. You can find that link in the description below. Narrowing down a household to a service household does eliminate some of the possibilities of what a house could be, but there are still several options. You could be hyper-focused and just focus on one element. House Gravy used to fall into that category, focusing only on feasts. You could also go to the other extreme and focus on all aspects of service in Amtgard, which is House Gravy's current focus. There is lots of room in between these two extremes. There are countless service options. Your best bet is to narrow down your focus to specifics. You want to inspire leadership? What kind of leadership? Leadership in office or leadership out of office? If it is in office, do you want to focus on specific roles, such as the holders and their responsibilities, or do you want to open it up to the other offices, such as Regent, Prime Minister, and Champion? Once you've decided on the service, it's important to distill it down into its simplest form. When asked what your house does, you shouldn't have to give a complicated explanation. If it's just feasts, you don't have to elaborate more. If you say it's all service, it might be a good idea to break service down into different elements. For example, House Gravy has broken down all service into 5 categories: feasts, events, games, leadership, and support. Having all service broken down into 5 different categories informs the house how they approach the different services within Amtgard. It also allows me to describe the house in a concise manner. Along with deciding which service or services you wish to focus on, you should also think about your goals. They pretty much go hand in hand. If your focus is feasts, your goal could be just to do quality feasts, or it could be to elevate feasts in your area, or it could be to create reliable feasting crews. It could be one or more of these. These goals can be concrete goals targeting something specific, or more open-ended, or a mixture of the two. For House Gravy, we currently have one goal. It's fairly broad and open-ended. It's to create a group of informed individuals capable of volunteering either as leaders or as helpers. Once you've decided on the service you wish to focus on and the goal or goals you wish to accomplish, it's time to decide on the direction you want to take with your house. It's time to create a mission statement. The next important thing you should focus on is a mission statement. What is the philosophy of the house? What is your guiding principle or principles? It should be narrowed down to 1 or 2 sentences. This should be your guiding principle that directs you in all things. House Gravy's mission statement. House Gravy is a learning and services-oriented household with a heavy focus on food-related activities and aims to continually elevate the quality of LARP events wherever possible. In that example, there are a few good elements and a few unnecessary elements. For example, the comment about the focus on food-related activities is probably unnecessary. I mostly put it in the mission statement as a nod to our past, but as it's included, it does make us put a focus on the food aspect of Amtgard. It's something I should consider changing. The 2 key elements are the learning and services and aims to continually elevate the quality of LARP events. These are 2 actionable philosophies. Those elements are guiding principles. It states we are dedicated to learning and to service. It also highlights that we are striving to raise the status quo in those areas whenever and wherever possible. Those elements are guiding principles. It states we are dedicated to learning and to service. It also highlights that we are striving to raise the status quo in these areas wherever and whenever possible. Those are principles that can guide a house in all they do. The next thing that should be considered is what structure the house should take. This can be as simple or as complicated as you would like. The key thing is to be consistent. To start you on this process, you should create a list of questions to which you will answer. For example, how do you handle new members? Is there an initiate process? Are there levels of membership? How fast do you want your house to grow? For example, Apex, a household in the Pacific Northwest dedicated to health and fitness, has little to no structure. Anyone can join, provided they follow the group's rules and guidelines. There is no initiation or levels of membership. They can grow as fast as they would like. House Gravy, on the other hand, is more complicated. In House Gravy, there are 4 different levels of membership. There are initiates, apprentices, full members, and founders, not including active and inactive status. When creating these different levels, I kept in mind the mission statement. For example, to advance from apprentice to a full member, they are required to join one of the 5 schools and pass a test. The goal at that level is to learn. Furthermore, to keep active status in the household, individuals have to volunteer at various service activities throughout the year. It advances our goal of service listed in our mission statement. It helps make sure members are actively serving in Amtgard. There is a lot going on with the House Gravy initiation process that I'd like to unpack. How it's structured naturally limits its membership and slows down its growth, which was intentional. We don't limit the amount of initiates we take, it's a simple vote of active full members. However, the requirements to move up in status increases the amount of time it takes to become a full member. Why do this? There are a few reasons. It gives a chance for our members to grow and learn before they become a full member. It also ensures that the people who are pledged in the house are the right fit. It gives time for all the members to get to know each other and creates a stronger bond, making us a stronger house in the process. When creating the structure of your house, it's important to envision the kind of household you'd like. It helps inform the members as to the culture you'd like to create, and it helps dictate the house's growth. You should also consider if you have voting members and what the requirements are to vote. These requirements can help dictate the culture of your house. It also helps reinforce your mission statement. For example, for House Gravy, one element to keep active status, which is required to vote, is to participate in volunteer activities. The other requirement is to attend House Gravy business meetings. To vote, you also need to be a full member. By making one of the requirements to vote volunteering, it helps fulfill the mission statement. The second requirement, attending business meetings, is to help make sure that the members keep involved in the house and its goals. The third requirement to vote, that of being a full member, is there to make sure that the people who are able to vote have gone through the learning process and are more fully invested in the house. The example of the House Gravy structure is just that, an example. It's discussed so that you can see the thought process behind the structure. It's up to the person or people constructing the service household to decide what kind of structure is best for the house. Throughout the process, it's important to go back to your goals and mission statement and to see if the structure is in line with them. Once you've got your goals, mission statement, and structure, it's time to think about what your household actually does. I'm sure by this point you've already put some thought into it, but now it's time to outline it. For some households, you don't have to put too much thought into it. For example, Apex is basically just a discussion group. They maintain a Facebook group dedicated to people sharing their personal fitness journeys, sharing resources, and being an open community for positive feedback. House Gravy, on the other hand, is a lot more complicated. When it comes to targeted volunteering, we pick an activity such as GATE and try to get as many of our members to volunteer for GATE. The targeted activities tie into our active status in the group. We can target any activity. Another example would be targeting tournaments at an event. Provided a member is running the tournament, they'd help organize it, keep scores, and reeve. If a member isn't running it, they would volunteer to keep score, reeve, or help wherever necessary. It's up to you to decide how to organize the activities of your house. You can make it as simple or as complex as you'd like. You can tie it into how your house is structured, or you can keep it slightly divorced from the structure. The key is to keep it organized and in line with your goals and mission statement. When you are looking for people to join the house, it's important to choose people who you believe will hold to the values of your house and further the mission statement. It's important that they understand what your household is about. I can't count the number of households that have just created a Facebook group and said, join it. Those were a dime a dozen. They often didn't put in the thought to create a foundation for growth, they just assumed people would join it. They usually haven't taken the time to create something of quality and don't quality check the people joining their household. Another factor of growth is finding a niche. If you're doing something other households are doing, it will be harder to convince people to join your house over another person's house. That's not to say it isn't possible, but if you are able to fill some sort of niche, these people are more likely to take notice of your house and therefore have more people interested in joining. That's not to say it isn't possible, but if you're able to fill some sort of niche, then people are more likely to take notice of your house and therefore have more people interested in joining. Service households can be a great addition to Amtgard. Each one brings a little bit of life to the game and helps create a backbone for the community. The better organized they are, the better they can help the community. No matter if you're creating something formal or something more informal, you can create something worthwhile. By keeping in mind the goals, mission statement, and structure of your service household, you can create something focused and long-lasting. I hope this video has helped you along your journey in creating a service household. If you like more Amtgard focused advice, subscribe to the channel and check out my webpage. You can find the link in the description below.